And what's going on, people? Welcome to another edition of Baseball Talk on Rojas Media. I am your host, Francisco. And today we are talking about one of the most exciting teams in baseball right now, the San Diego Padres, and their rivalry with the reigning world champions, Los Angeles Dodgers. Unfortunately, it didn't go the Padres' way this past weekend, but regardless, it was a popcorn game each night. How any of those any of those games weren't nationally televised is absolutely mind-boggling to me. But I think we're going to get one this weekend, Sunday Night Baseball. I could be wrong. But for more on the Padres, I got a baseball writer and the host of Locked On Padres, Javier Reyes, on the show. What's going on, Javier? How you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good. I must say, though, we're on video right now, and I'm looking at, first of all, your background, which just looks like the PlayStation game Dreams. It's just this clean sort of thing. I like it. Meanwhile, I'm in some room with this weird bed frame behind me and all that. And I'm looking at myself and I'm like, oh my God. You know what stinks, Francisco, when your facial hair, it grows way too fast. Like I don't mind the beard necessarily as much, even though it gets a little absurd, but it's the mustache. I mean, I shaved like 2 days ago, and this is what I got. Right, so I'm already being reminded of that. But other than that, I'm super happy to be here, man.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I don't I shave about a couple times a week. I'm not mine doesn't grow back as fast as yours, so I guess I'm lucky in that sense. So
Yeah.
anyway,
When you're a lazy man like me, it's definitely not very fun.
hey, we all have our lazy days, so it's all good. So let's talk some baseball though, man. We got the
Do it.
Dodgers series coming up this weekend. Look, the hottest rivalry in baseball, no debate. Um,
Yeah.
Yeah, how are you enjoying it? I assume you're a Padres fan. I know you told me you're on the East Coast. Give me a
Mhm.
little background. Are you a Padres fan? Or are you just a Padres writer? How are you feeling about the Padres this year and this rivalry coming up?
I think that's a great point about the East Coast thing. Yeah, I'd say I'm like in the middle where like, yeah, I'm a Padres fan now mostly, but let's be honest, the big part of that is because of the podcast. I say this all the time. I only started following the team a little bit like 2015 era because I was just so aghast. You know, growing up in the metropolitan area, you're used to the Yankees making big moves. You're used to the Red Sox making big moves. You're used to football and basketball teams making big moves. But then when I heard that this little San Diego Padres team had the gall, the audacity, right? Not to sound like Stephen A. Smith, to trade for Will Myers and Justin Upton and Craig Kimbrell and Matt Kim. I was like, who do they think they are? And one of my close friends is from San Diego and a big Padres fan, although he fell off with them too, for reasons that are fair because they were bad for a very long time. And I just started getting curious about them, and then the Locked On thing came along. So I'm definitely somewhere in the middle. I have been following the team as much as others, and I imagine for a lot of people, seeing this team right now is just truly it's remarkable. I mean, there's no other way to put it. It's just seeing you go from when Will Venable and Seth Smith and Derek Norris being your best players, and all of a sudden it's like, yeah, those guys might not even make this current team. That's how stacked the Padres are. And yes, the rivalry is real. I don't like, just to throw the shade at the Dodgers fans, it's kind of a constitutional requirement, section 25 article B, section 27, or whatever the hell it's however you say it. You're kind of required to make fun of the Dodgers if you're a Padres guy, and in this case I love all the fans that are like, look at them celebrating like it's a World Series game and acting like it's like, first of all, settle down now. Settle down, all right? Stop acting like you're above this. Just enjoy the fun. Enjoy the fact that this is real. You have Clayton Kershaw never gets mad at anybody, and this dude's
Yeah, you
losing his
never see
mind.
that.
You know what I mean? And you have the Jorge Mateo getting into a very light exchange, and Don Orsillo's like, oh, and they're talking, and now they're gonna fight. Like he's trying to. It's clearly very real. Just because a rivalry is more nascent and not, from the 1920s does not mean it's not a rivalry. You know what I mean? Obviously, the Dodgers have the upper hand. Congratulations. You guys finally won a World Series after having the most talented team in baseball for 8 years. Congratulations on that. I'm really proud of you guys. But when it
In
comes
a
to
shortened season.
rivalries, it's baseball needs rivalries that are, well, let me know if this analogy works, kind of like similar to the way the NBA works. The NBA has different rivalries kind of happen. Obviously, you have Lakers, Celtics, and you've got like Knicks, Celtics a little bit. There are definitely rivalries, but then there's random new ones that pop up every now
Well,
and then. Miami
narratives.
Heat, Indiana Pacers used to
Yeah,
be one for like 2 years. Cavs,
absolutely.
Warriors for a little bit. I think baseball needs that. I think they need ones that aren't tied to just tradition, but more like these just happen to be two teams that are really great. Both fan bases are fired up, and sometimes players don't like each other. I don't think there's too many players on the Padres and Dodgers that hate each other. I'm not getting that vibe too much. Maybe Gratterall, which I think the Padres fans honestly are a little bit too hard on. I don't care if you celebrate after your teammate made a great catch. That's fine. But I think that in general, this is really great for baseball. And I know a lot of people, Tom Verducci wrote an article about this before the season started. Sports Illustrated kind of cover story being like, Yanks Red Sox for a period mid 2000s, maybe even late 90s was baseball. That was baseball, man. Everyone
Absolutely.
was tuning in. Ratings through the roof. Who's to say it can happen for Padres Dodgers? And after what happened this past weekend, and like you said, how in the world was it not on national television? It's crazy.
It's
This week, thankfully, it's on national television. We get that ESPN Sunday night game. Of course, they decided to give the Dodgers and their home turf the Sunday night attention, but still, I'm not bitter about it at all, as you can tell.
Yeah, yeah, but you mentioned like the Yankees Red Sox, like that literally like that
Mm-hmm.
rivalry. It was just those two teams. And like when you look at basketball, man, it's narratives. It's narratives
Yeah.
that drive
Mm-hmm.
the sport. And you kind of need even if it's just two teams like the Padres and Dodgers, you need those narratives, man. It's same thing with football. That it's all about the narratives. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the one thing that excites me about the Padres and Dodgers. Now, hopefully, they didn't get any games on national TV this past weekend. They're going to get one coming up this Sunday, and hopefully they can make it work in the future this year because they're going to play 16 to 19 more times now. So I mean,
Yeah.
you need to the NBA make sure that when the Lakers are playing the Clippers, every game is on national television. I need to
Exactly.
see MLB do the same exact thing with Padres and
Like,
Dodgers. So
give into it. You know what I mean? It's fine. Are you just giving into the fact that these are crazy, like almost drama type things? Yes, but for example, if baseball was run last year the way the NBA is run, the very first game of the season is Astros Dodgers after coming off of what happened last year. Same, and then this year it's Padres Dodgers, right? Like, just do it. Just it's
right.
okay. Stop thinking you're above all this stuff. It's fine if there are fans who aren't into the, meticulous natures of baseball. They just like having fun. And sometimes that's the thing that baseball often struggles with. Uh, well, wait, I understand that. They always struggle with just trying to have fun when it comes to the league. And it annoys me. And the other thing about, the Padres fandom is in general, I've been one of those people who my love for baseball has like vacillated up and down, fluctuated a lot throughout my life.
Mm.
Yankees fan for a while. Basically after '09, I stopped caring for like 2 years. I was like, okay, cool, that was fun, but I still didn't, because baseball doesn't welcome, I guess. Not so sad to get too political on here, even though I don't even consider this politics to a certain extent. But like, they're not very welcoming of certain cultures, and they're not very embracing of certain cultures. So I always felt like, why am I watching this sport where nobody's allowed to have fun? I got crap one time on the podcast. The only time I've ever gotten stick to sports id, if
Mm.
that's the right way to say it, was when I said there's definitely some racial like undertones to not allowing celebrations and not allowing
Yeah.
players to jog around the bases too quickly or whatever the heck. And then you have Ronald Acuna Jr. situations who he just gets hit for playing well, apparently. So that's like a whole thing. And then Bryce Harper is like, he could also be like white people, obviously it can be, but it's a cultural aspect to baseball that is extremely problematic. And our boy here, El Nino, I think was one of the first ones I've seen. I think Bautista was one of the beginning ones, but there were people who didn't like Bautista.
Mm.
Tatis was one of the first ones where I've seen everyone universally kind of was against what the Texas Rangers did. Even people who are clearly like trying to now position themselves, like the Johnny Benches of the world, the Goose Gossages of the world, who definitely didn't make comments saying we'll send you chin music if you run around the bases too fast. But okay, so they go back on that and they're like, this is bad and all this stuff. And I just think that the response from the baseball world last year showed that. No, I'm getting really off topic now, my
No, it's
mistake,
okay. I
but
like this. I like this conversation.
um
God.
it's very, you need more of it. And like I said, my fandom has fluctuated up and down. My fandom for the Yankees, one of the reasons it went down was because there's just an elitism and there's a snobbery and there is a very, I don't want to say any like other bad words on this, but like there's a thing about them, small things like they you have to shave, right? And they're
Right. Right.
it's almost like it's a privilege to play for us, and that's a very outdated, antiquated way of thinking, I think, when it comes to sports. But that kind of turns me off. But if there's any reason I still kind of root for the Yankees, it's I hate the Boston Red Sox. So
Oh
that's
yeah.
like that'll always be a thing for me. And I know they're playing well right now, and
They're
the Yankees
first
fans are
place, man.
losing their mind. Yeah, they're losing their mind. And the fans are also losing their mind to an extent, just to rip it back around to the Padres because they're not playing too well right now.
Yeah. Well, so talk about why fans are losing their minds. Like the offense hasn't played well. Now, granted,
Mm-hmm.
they literally just faced no particular order. I know they faced Kershaw, Bueller, Bauer, Woodruff, and then they faced Corbin Burns, who might be the best pitcher ever right now. Literally, might be the
Oh,
best
right?
pitcher I've ever seen. Literally putting up historical numbers. So are you worried the way the offense is going? I know Tatis come back from the injury. He's kind of
Mm-hmm.
playing injured. He's not hitting well. He's hitting under 200. The offense hasn't been scoring runs. They've been leaving a lot of runners on base. Are you worried about the Padres offense?
I think I've been trying to figure out like the correct terminology to say this the past few days, but I'm worried about the Padres, but I'm not worried about them improving their play on the field. So I guess what I mean by, like I said, I'm trying to work on like how to differentiate. I'm worried about things like injuries. I'm worried about how Tatis just swinging the bat, shoulder subluxation and all that. And
Mm-hmm.
there are people, and what I've been bringing this up a lot where I can't stand. And I know I'm not like some beat reporter that understands everything. I know I'm the podcaster type of guy, whatever, blah blah blah. But I don't remember people saying like was a known issue that he has this shoulder thing. I'm like, no, that's different. Steph Curry had an ankle injury early on in his career. If he ever like gets injured, we're not like, oh, he has this ankle thing, and we all know that. It's like, no, it's just like one-time injuries sometimes are one-time injuries. And I don't remember anyone talking about this and making it out to seem like, yeah, we knew Tatis's shoulder could just pop any second. So that I'm really frustrated with. And Dinelson Lamet, who, we're talking on what day is today? Thursday. So the day after Dinelson Lamet left the game with the shoulder stiffness, the forearm tightness, I should say, which is a trigger word for baseball fans everywhere, obviously, when you hear stuff like that. And my thing with that was like, all right, well, I get some people are saying, yeah, players like going the rehab route before the surgery. I get that. Like, it's your career, it's your life, but this keeps happening with the Padres. So clearly something seems to be off with the pitching coach, Larry Rothschild, whatever, the medical staff, where this guy gets brought out, he goes 2 innings, and all of a sudden he's out, and I'm preparing for the worst news to happen. So that is bad, and I am worried about the Chargers. Wow, the Chargers! Oh my God,
You're all
Freudian
over the
slip
place
there.
today, man. What?
Oh man, where the Padres are in that perspective. In terms of the offense, I'm like 15% worried, maybe. I'm worried about Tommy Pham because he's a guy that's like a contact dude, and he can't hit the ball at all right now. So that's concerning, but I'm not worried about Tatis. Machado's been fine. He'll get back to it. Jake Cronenworth has been good. Grisham is just kind of getting back into the swing of things. He missed the first couple series, but he's back. I'm just expecting more. I think Hassan Kim is going to get better as the season goes along. Eric Hosmer, Will Myers, like I'm expecting those guys to still be good. And, they're getting runners on base. This isn't a team that's hitting like 200 collectively. Like their batting average is okay. And they're drawing walks, which is something that, just to remind Padres fans, that used to be something they were terrible at. They hit home runs like all the time. Like they had Hunter Renfroe, Franmil Reyes, who I of course have an affinity for obvious reasons. But they were not on base guys. So at least the encouraging thing is, look, the team genuinely can take walks and just get on base and outrun, grounders and stuff like that. They've got some speed. So I'm not totally worried about that. And considering they're 10-10 still, and their pitching is still like the best in baseball right now. I'm not just saying that, like in ERA, they're literally number one in the league. So you consider that. I'm not too concerned this team it's still a playoff team. Like I'm not worried about that. And as long as they make the playoffs, anything can happen, as you know, in baseball. And yeah, just to shoot the Padre fans again, or the Dodger fans again, just being like, Yeah, the Dodgers famously a great track record in the postseason. So as long as you make the postseason, you really don't know what happens. So
Yeah. I just want before we get to the pitching, them being so good to start the season.
mhm,
Expand on the Tatis, uh, people being concerned.
mhm,
I'm just concerned because this kid's the face of baseball. We all know it. They're pushing
yeah,
him to be the face of baseball. Has a personality, has generational talent, has everything. Um, I mean, what's your concern level as far as like they were talking for that stretch of where he wasn't playing, he was injured. They were talking about he should get the surgery to end
mhm,
the season. I mean, for me, man, I'm like, you know what, man? If this kid needs to get the surgery and just sit out the rest of the season so he can be healthy going forward, so be it. The game needs him. The
mhm,
kid's what, 20, 21 years old. He's on a 10 to 15-year contract, whatever it was.
yeah, 14
It,
years.
14 years, right? So, like, what are your thoughts on that? Like, it you're not because you just said you weren't concerned. Like, I mean, I don't know, man. It convinced me that I shouldn't be concerned then.
Don't get me wrong. I'm saying people shouldn't be concerned about this team making the playoffs yet. That I think that's the best way to put it. But when it comes to the injuries with Lamet and Tatis, absolutely very concerning. Looking at the future and how this team seems to be always on the bad side of injury stuff, I think the way to look at it is because you look at it like this, like I don't like playing doctor and I don't know what his specific thing is. I've heard different people. I listen to MLB Network and Buck Showalter saying he's had some guys that can play through this, but the first months are bad and whatnot.
Mm.
I think it depends. If they think that there's no long-term damage if he re-aggravates it and that it's just kind of a he can play as long until something pops up and it'll be fine, he'll get the surgery, then okay. But at the same time, as I've been alluding to, is the Padres, and I don't trust them when it comes to injury stuff right now. It's hard to believe them. So it's definitely be concerned. Yeah, absolutely be concerned about the Tatis thing. Like, because he swung a bat. It's not like he was making some diving catch or
Right.
whatever. That's the thing
Right.
you do in baseball. For those who
Right.
don't know,
You
you
just swing it
swing a
back.
bat. You know what I mean? And I know they swung it hard and it was a strikeout in the dirt and all that stuff, but it's yeah, it's just it was frustrating. It's nice that he's back, but and granted, I know some people are making assumptions like he doesn't look the same. It's like there's a lot of people that don't look the same in baseball. Their guys batting like once Giancarlo Stanton of the Yankees is batting like 164 right now. Like I don't want to do that whole thing. I think you need a larger sample size before I start worrying about that. But
Absolutely.
I guess they might be wondering, like, is 75% Tatis still better than most players in baseball? I don't know. He could be. He has the potential. We've always seen he's way too talented. But it's also little things where he's making a lot of errors in the infield. He's been a terrible defender this year. Like 8 something errors, somewhat errors
Yeah.
on the season. Like he's been really bad. And while he could definitely clean that up, defense sometimes with the errors can be a little streaky. Jerickson Profar when he was with Oakland made like 16 errors in like 2 months or something crazy like that. And then he made none for the rest of the year. So it's possible that he's just going through a bad stretch right now and trying to do too much. And that might what be explained why he's playing poorly, by the way. He looks like he's trying to hit a home run every time. So, be concerned about Tatis's health. Don't be necessarily panic DEFCON 4 when it comes to whether the Padres will even make the playoffs. I do like the Giants as a team, but I still think the Padres are going to be better than them. I don't think though that they're going to be better than the Dodgers in the regular season. I heard somebody say the Padres have better chances of winning the World Series than winning the division, and I actually think that's a pretty good take.
Yeah. I mean, playoffs are playoffs, man.
Yeah,
Playoffs are playoffs.
straight up.
Let's talk about the rotation though. So
Mhm.
what I read on Lamet this morning was that I mean, there's concern that he might need Tommy John, and that means
Yeah.
he's done for the season. But the Padres still have I mean, he only threw 29 pitches this season. The Padres still
Mhm.
have really good pitching. You got Darvish, new Padre, Blake Snell, new Padre. He hasn't pitched crazy well this year, but he's still
Mhm.
been, solid enough. You have Joe Musgrove. I mean, threw no hitter, and then he's been lights out.
Mhm.
Um, and then you got, I think Ryan Weathers is on the mound tonight against the Dodgers. So talk to me about the rotation. Is it what you expected so far? I mean, what are our thoughts on the rotation right now?
Well, the thoughts on the rotation, it's weird because, we might have two guys who got Tommy John surgery in an hour or so whenever they announce the Lamet thing, with Mike Clevenger being the other one, and
Right.
actually three. So with Adrian Morejon
Right.
being the other one. So like I said, Padres medical staff, there's a lot of questions, and I'm just wondering what is this? Because Lamet, his injury reminded me of the Clevenger thing where, okay, he's ready. He goes out to pitch and then he's out after an inning. So something clearly seems off the way you guys are judging this. And they, by the way, said, like, they were reporting and being like, yeah, he's all systems go. He was like, yeah, no limit. I'm going to go. And some people were saying maybe 80 pitches in his first outing. Instead, he throws 29. So that's a really
Yeah.
big concern. But in terms of the general rotation, I mean, look, if the Padres offense still performs correctly, having those three guys alone and also in the playoffs, you have three guys right there. So you have Snell, you have Darvish, you have Joe Musgrove. Musgrove, who's looking like basically the biggest steal in that happened for any team for an offseason. And I will still say that even if he regresses a good amount. You know why I'll say that? Because he did get the franchise's first no-hitter. So bottom line, it's worth it. Great. It's worth it, whatever with him. But those three guys, I mean, Darvish is such a pleasure to watch, man. I mean, come on, guys. He's got
Stuff
a
is
pitch called the
insane.
Supreme. That's what he
Yeah.
calls one of his pitches, a knuckleball two-seam hybrid. Come
It's
on, man.
insane.
Like, it's just, I don't care. Tell you, Darvish, if you have a 17th pitch that you want to call the Godzilla, you want to call it the tornado vortex, I don't care. Give me everything you
He
want.
can do whatever he wants.
You can do whatever you want. And he was really great against the Dodgers his last time out, probably his best start of the season. I'm kind of half expecting Weathers to get blown up tonight. I think the Dodgers might adjust after kind of seeing him for one of the first times. I think they saw him in the playoffs when they did a bullpen day, but still, I still have hope for the guy. And then the other thing is Mackenzie Gore, who
Right.
is the top pitching prospect in baseball,
Right.
and I don't want them to rush Padres fans immediately after the Lamet thing. We're like, call up Gore, do it. And they're probably trying to do a service time thing. Probably. I say probably because they didn't do it with Tatis, which I thought was a very pro player move on the team's behalf. And I certainly believe that played um, some sort of role in why he was so willing to resign so quickly with the team for a long term extension. Um, but yeah, Gore would be kind of this ultimate lottery ticket and a little bit better than a lottery ticket because he looks great. He's got all the 4 or 5 pitches, doesn't throw super duper hard. Fastball touches out at like 96, but his curve, sinker, like all that stuff. He's got a lot of different pitches. So that's the exciting part about him. He might be more of a mid-season call up. I think the Pirates should take their time. Please, in some respect, if you aren't going to take time in the injuries department, then take time when it comes to developing your talent. You don't want to be looked at as like the Baltimore Orioles of the NL or anything like that, where you just can't develop pitchers. So hopefully that turns out well. But yeah, I mean, Snell, hopefully if he can, get better at his pitch efficiency, he doesn't make it too far into games. One of the worst among like kind of ace quality starters in the league at that. But the Musgrove thing is what makes me really, really excited. If he's just going to be this really great pitcher and he's going to be your third, then I'm not too concerned about the rotation for this season, at least. While I would love some more depth, I love Chris Paddock. If he could get it together,
Yeah.
in general, I'm not too worried about the pitching rotation, although it's a little bit slightly less automatic as I think it could have been on paper because you would have had Lamet and that would have given you 4 and then potentially Gore in the future. That's like, oh God,
Yeah.
that's like scary.
Unlimited
That
depth. Yeah.
rotation. The fact that they might not know which pitcher to be in there soon, and we'll have to see how that shakes out next year. But I'm still very confident in the rotation. This team is deep, man.
Yeah.
This team's deep, and on top of that, even if Snell has those like 4 inning games, as long as he's still good, doesn't give up too many runs, the bullpen is still really good and can help
Yeah.
amend for that type of shortcoming in his game.
Yeah, I mean, man, I'm a Phillies fan, but as a baseball fan,
Hey, yeah,
the
hmm
Padres are a pleasure to watch.
I
Just
like the Phillies.
being,
I
so
love Didi. I'm a big Didi guy.
we took them from you, man. So hey, yeah, real quick before I let you go, what are your thoughts on the series this weekend? Do you think that the Padres maybe get this round? Do they split it? Do they sweep? What happens?
That would be hilarious if they swept, right?
That
That'd
would
be
be great.
great. Cause I'd be humble pie about it for sure. I'm not even being facetious. Like I would be like, great, like awesome. It's still early in the year because you don't want to have the karmic gods come back to you, I guess, later on. But I don't know. I'm kind of expecting honestly 1-3, just the way the Padres are hitting, but maybe they need to face some really tough competition. I don't know. And also the Dodgers are playing so well. I expect them to lose some games. So I say maybe they split it. I think they split the series to a degree. It is going to be tough considering that's in LA and, it's going to be a hostile and enemy territory, but
Yeah.
I'm still hopeful. And I think that I think Kershaw, no, I think Bauer is due for his first start. I'm actually high
Okay.
on Trevor Bauer this year. I'm not talking about him as like a person necessarily. That's a whole nother topic. But
Yeah.
like,
Fair
I
enough.
actually think that he's got a whole lot of talent and that
Oh,
I think 2019, hold on. I think 2018 and 2020 are closer to what Bauer is than the 2019 and every
yeah. He
year
was bad
before
that
that.
year.
Yeah, I think that he's figured something out. It's possible. Garrett Cole kind of became an S tier pitcher a little bit later into his career. Lucas Giolito was
Yeah.
bad
Yeah.
before
Really bad.
like
Really bad.
really, really bad. He had that one lucky year with the ERA, but just that was because of great defense and stuff. So
Yeah.
now he looks awesome, changes delivery. I think Bauer is pretty legit, but I think we get like 4 runs on him, something like
Okay.
that when we face him again. I at least I hope, and I hope we get some meltdown from him because that'd be really entertaining. But bottom line is, I hope that we get. I wasn't even that mad after they lost the series against the Dodgers because genuinely the games were rad. Like I was mad in the moment, but afterwards I was like, these were just excellent baseball games, especially that first game, which was literally NLCS game one feels like. I
Yeah.
cannot believe it was like I keep making this joke, but everyone heading into that series was kind of like, all right, guys, remember it's only one series. We got a lot more to go. And as soon as that first pitch got thrown, everyone was like, screw it.
Yeah.
Let's just like take off the cloak or whatever the heck and just admit that you're going to be losing your mind watching this game. And the team clearly feels that way too. And while the Dodgers fans are pretending that they're not afraid of the Dodgers, they're like, oh, please, your team management clearly does. You brought in Trevor Bauer and you
Yeah.
set up your rotations so that you have all these guys going against us at the right time. So and that's good. That's the sign of a good organization, that they don't underestimate people. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So very excited for the series. And I like that we're going to get that Sunday night game too on ESPN.
Yeah. Me too. Yeah. So where can the audience find your work? Where can they find the
Mhm.
podcast? Tell the audience.
All right. Tell the audience. Yeah. All right. So you could find me on Twitter at Javapeno, and that's spelled JAVIIPENO. I always used to say I don't tweet as much about baseball on there, but lately the engagement is pretty good. Not going to lie. So I do tweet a little bit more jokes and dumb things on that account, along with other things like anime, pop culture, sports of any kind, baseball, football, basketball. Just it's a crap show, I guess, on there. And then for the show account for Locked On Padres, that's at LO_Padres on Twitter. We're a bunch of memes, bunch of podcast stuff is on there. Go check out some of the episodes. I recently did one with Hannah Kaiser of Yahoo Sports, which is one of my favorite episodes I've done, where I asked her some either or questions that were really fun. Honestly, we got some fun takes on the Sandlot, especially. So definitely check out that episode. It's pinned to the profile. And then, yeah, for me, I sometimes write about movies and stuff. I post that on my Twitter account. I write for a couple places, Nerdist, Inverse, among many others. And I've also got something. I don't know when I can announce it and when it'll be like coming out in full front, but there's a cool like kind of project that I'll be a part of in the near future. That should be a lot of fun. At least I'm looking forward to it. So people, I guess, should stay tuned for that. And it does have to do with baseball. That much I can say. It
Cool.
does have to do with baseball. So
The people watching this video, they will be in tune. Now that you mentioned baseball, they'll be in
that
tune.
was the thing. They said, whoa, 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 baseball, like the dog from Up, just like whoa, 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 there you go.
All right, man. Hey, this was a pleasure. Thanks for coming on the show, man. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. Take care.
Cool. Yeah, you too.